What's up YouTube? I'm Vaughn and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, competitive games from tabletop to video games, and today we are reviewing my Cherubimon deck that got a second place after the final round of the Alphamon versus Cherubimon. Now all of you guys asked me to do this deck profile, even private messaged me, so we're getting right on it. So in today's video we're going to explain all the details and why we actually play these specific cards. But first, friendly reminder to definitely like and subscribe because it really helps the channel a lot and I do really appreciate it. So starting first, we have 4 Cupimon. Now the reason why we're playing 4 Cupimon is because of his inherent ability, which is if we have 5 or more security, draw 1 card. You have to understand that this is a very fast-paced deck. You want to draw right away, and this is a deck that wants to go first. Now, in today's format, a lot of decks all want to go second, so this is the idea Digi Egg to actually go first with, draw that card right away with your Bushis, and you're going to be all set. So there's a lot of draw power in it. It mostly bases towards like Digivolutions, but it's little stuff like this that actually help and make us get our combo out right away. So now let's get into the main deck. So we do have 4 Bushi Agumons, definitely mandatory because this is the main focus, is trying to get our Bushis into the trash or just swing with it. They die and then we just bring them all out with Cherubimon. So it's definitely necessary to play 4 Bushi Agumon. Also, another card that we need to play 4 of is Boko. Yes, you need to play 4 Bokos because this is just synergize and brings out all your Tamers and your hybrids out. And also, if you actually spam the board with Bokos and you use a hybrid, you could actually gain quite a bit of memory, especially if you have to choose between using your Cherubimon to bring out more Bokos than Bushis, just to gain memory in case you're against like a blue deck that might have Hammer Spark in the security. You could definitely have enough memory so it doesn't pass turn and you could attack with the rest of your Digimon. Now, one of the biggest questions is why do we play 2 Tsukemon? Now, this actually has multiple use for it. So one, yes, it's an extra Digivolution for a Digi Egg, so we could actually draw one for free. It's also, since we're not really playing that much rookie Digivolutions, because we only have the 4 Bushis and 2 of this, so we're only playing 6. This is also a Digimon we could actually get with Calling from the Darkness, so we can actually add it to hand just to Digivolve a Digi Egg, and we usually always have a Digi Egg viable just because of analog youth, so definitely we could hatch it and then we could digivolve it just to get that one draw. You do have to remember that it is a purple, so your blinding wave won't work with this, so try to do it beforehand. But other uses as well is that if you're in situations that you don't want to use your specific Tamers to digivolve for your hybrids, you can actually use Tsukemon as well. And there was some games that I won when against like Magnamon X just by digivolving this to Lorimon and then digivolving for 1 for a Kaiserleomon just so it had the retaliation and I could attack for game. So there's a lot of good strategy behind this card, and I think it's actually necessary to actually play this at 2 because it helps with multiple situations. And you should not play Salmon and Cherubimon anymore. So usually this would take the spot for Salma, and the reason why is because this is a very aggressive OTK deck. Salmon focuses more on grind games and recovery, while this deck does not have the time for that, and you're not even playing the cards as well. So you're trying to get your combo out as fast as possible, and Salma is just a bit too slow paced for Cherubimon in today's format. So it's not really recommended to put Salmon in your Cherubimon deck anymore. Now we're going to get into the hybrid. So we have 4 Lorimons, because mandatory. Even 4 Kaiserleomon, because definitely so good. So you could Digivolve for 1 or 2 for a Tamer, and also it has retaliation if it digivolve over a hybrid or a Kochi, which is a very good ability, and you get to use this quite a bit, and you have to remember to actually use this, because when you're in situations that you have a Digimon that you want to get rid of, this is a very good option to do so. And if you Digivolve it over Rihimon, you could actually, or Rihimon Digivolve over Kazuliomon, it still keeps the retaliation till end of the turn. So if you swing with Rihimon and he dies, you get to play a Tamer for free. So it's quite good. And especially Rihimon, I won many games with just Rihimon, not even using the Cherubimon combos, just by simply having him over like a Matt Ishida, swinging, he dies, put the mat back, add the Rihi again, and just keep on doing it over and over again. So it's definitely a very good strategy. Next, we have our big guys. So we have 4 Cherubimon. Definitely mandatory to play 4. You want to see this guy constantly. So it doesn't even matter if you have doubles, because as you saw, like we had like Alice McCoy, so you could actually delete one Cherubimon to play another Cherubimon and then use the effect to swarm the board. So there's a lot of good strategy to actually have multiple Cherubimon. Now, I know some of you probably wondering why we're not playing this one. So it's all right. Like, I would have to test it a little bit further more, but it seems a bit too slow or a bit too excessive to play 3 memory just to blow up your Cherubimon. Now, I know that it's going -2 security tag on a Digimon, so against like an Alphamon, yes, it could be very valuable just because they can't really swing for game, but they might be able to still do like one check. But it's very specific timing though, because they're not going to bring out the Alphamon until they could actually do multiple checks. And then once they do the multiple check, the next time you're able to play this, they might be able to still do one security attack, unsuspend, and just do one security attack again, and that would be ideally enough to wipe all your security and lose the game. So it's not really that good, because it's really good if your opponent misplays pretty much. So I don't really recommend to actually play this anymore. It was fun for like the last format, but for today's format, I don't recommend it. Now for the Tamers, we have 4 Kochis. Definitely needed. I know it kind of seems excessive. Even me, I'm not too crazy of having 4 of this, but at the same time, you draw this card. It synergizes. You gain a memory when the Digimon is deleted, so it's quite good. And you could put the other Kochis into your trash as well. So then when you do your Cherubimon or Rihi, you could actually bring them out. So it's needed to play 4, even though I don't like it, but it's a very good card and has to be played at 4. Then we have 3 Matt Ishidas. There's not really a reason to play 4. 3 is actually ideal. I don't think you should be playing 4 of this one. It's not too necessary. It's definitely a good card for mid game, not really so much for early game, because you kind of want to do the benefit of adding a purple Digimon or option card. But once you get like the memory to sit to 3, because the whole deck, everything revolves about 3 memories. So like your Bokos, your Tamers, all the hybrids, like if you do like Lorimon first and then you do Rihimon, so that's exactly 3 memories, because you know it's 2 memories to Digivolve for a Tamer, and then it's 1 for this. So usually I like to play him like on my second turn. So if I play like my first option card, give my opponent like a little bit of memory, so then they go and they do a minimum play, and then you could play your mat right after, so it still gives them minimum amount of memory. So you're trying to really control your opponent's memory, so as long as they don't have that memory tamer, you're trying to get that little advantage as soon as possible and try to control your opponent's memory as much as you can. So that's why I think 3 is quite good. Not really necessary for 4. Next, we have 3 Mimis. Definitely needed because we have quite a bit of option cards, but also in today's format, it's quite good, especially with everyone playing X Antibody, the option card. A lot of people forget that you actually have to activate it to put it under the Digivolution. So I might have like a few of these out and people just forget that, and then I tap my Mimis and it passes the turn. So definitely very strong in today's format. Then we have 3 Analog Youth as well. So Analog Youth, I was playing at 4. It was too excessive, so I had to take 1 out. 3, it seems an amazing amount, because even if you have multiple of these, it's quite good because you could gain the extra memory. If your Rihi or Cherubimon is deleted, you could hatch and you could gain 1 memory. So there's quite a bit of plays to do with this. So like a lot, and also it trashes the cards. So if you add 1 Digimon and you trash your Tamers, which you kind of want to do in this deck, this actually speeds up the process by a lot. Then we have 2 Alice McCoy, which is probably my favorite and definitely changed the pace of the deck by a lot. So pretty much your Cherubimon could Digivolve for 1 if you delete another Digimon. So there's quite a bit of combos to do by deleting either one of your rookies that wasn't deleted, or if you actually hard played the Boko right away this turn and then you start doing the hybrids, you could delete the Boko just to do the Cherubimon for 1 memory. Now, one thing to know is that why this card is so good, it costs only 2, and it does not suspend. So you could use the ability, okay, to delete Digivolve for 1, and then right after you could Digivolve over it for a hybrid. And depending how much memory you had, you could actually attack with the hybrid. Now, not all on the same turn that you just played this, but for follow-up turns, like if you're using the effect, it's a very good card that does not suspend. So definitely helps a lot in a lot of situations. Next, we have 3 Blinding Ray. 3 is necessary that I actually seen. 4 is a tad bit excessive. I get why people would play 4 because it just speeds up the process and you can. But at the same time, it's one card that you kind of want to see only in your deck and not in your security, because if you notice right here, it has 0 security effects at all. So if it's in your security, it just doesn't benefit you in any way at all. So I think 3 is a good amount because you want to see at least like some in your deck. Maybe 1 could be in like your security. So I think 3 is a good amount for that. Okay, next we have 2 Calling from the Darkness, definitely needed. You could do quite a bit of plays. You could either play this card without even actually deleting a Digimon, which is insane. If you have no Digimon, you could play it and then just add 2 purples. But if you do have a Digimon, you have to delete and then add the 2. This is really good for deleting your Cherubimon for pretty much free, and it's returned up to 2, so you don't have to even have Digimon in your trash to actually return, because the new ruling, if you guys are not familiar, is that Calling from the Darkness doesn't put the card into the trash just yet. You have to pretty much return the 2 purple Digimon before the deleted Digimon is actually in the trash, so you can't really get any of the Digivolutions underneath Cherubimon with Calling from Darkness. So that's one thing to note. Next, we have 2 Deathclaws. Now, the main focus and reason why we're playing this is that this is a option card that we could actually play if our opponent doesn't even have a Digimon. Yes, we could actually play Deathclaw if our opponent has no Digimon. So if we just want to delete our Cherubimon, we definitely can just simply delete him and just combo off like that. So it's definitely a good card. The security attack is quite good. Delete one of your opponent's level 4 lore Digimon. Doesn't matter positions or anything. It's not really that solid with a lot of the OTK decks. There might be a few other stuff, but then again, like I said, the first ability is very irrelevant of what your opponent has, so that's why it's needed to actually play 2 of these. And then finally, we have Chaos the Great. Now, let me tell you, I switched this out. It was shorts, okay? Now, if you're not familiar with shorts, it lets you delete all your opponent's Digimon level 5 or lower, equal to the amount of Tamers or hybrids that you have. Yeah, it's a very good board wipe. In today's format, there's not many people spamming the board. So Chaos Degrade is very good against a lot of these OTK decks that we're against in today's format. And also, like, even sometimes we see some D-Weepers. So this thing also gets rid of a few D-Weeper cards as well. So it's a very good card to actually have as a deck. Maybe the ratios could change a bit, but right now we don't really see anyone spamming the board. They're just focusing on usually just one Digimon and swinging. And level 4s or less, we don't really have an issue because the Cherubimon or even Deathclaw could get rid of them. And the only thing that differs is probably the level 5 parts, but we could also target a level 5 Digimon if we want to. One thing that I don't like about this card is that this deck focuses on like OTK, mining your opponent's security, and this kind of does the opposite what the deck does, and putting a Digimon on top of the deck. So I understand if people don't want to play this and they just want to stick with the two shorts. Me, I think like they're both good choices, honestly. Like they're both beneficial. It really depends on your locals. If you're against a lot of like OTK decks that they focus on just one Digimon, then play Chaos. If you're against like decks like Imperial Dramon that could actually spam, then you want the shorts. So it really depends on your locals format. Depending what decks are played constantly over there, then you would switch this for shorts or you play this. And that's it for a deck profile. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And if you want a sneak peek at future products we're planning to review here on the channel, you can follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.